healthcare field, I encounter many social inequalities. In a hospital setting, I witness racial inequality, often because I am Asian American, but never to the extent that occurred to me this past summer. I work at a hospital where my occupation has me transferring patients from floor to floor. I go back and forth between the emergency room and all the units in the hospital itself. I've been working there for about 2 years now, so I'm very familiar with the hospital and where different units are. I ensure my patients have the best care that I can give them when they are in my hands and make sure every single one of them are comfortable around me. However, this past summer, my patient was getting transferred from the emergency center to the patient floor. Without getting into too much detail, she was an older white woman, around 65 to 67 years old. I was working with my partner at the time, who is the same age as I am, attends college like I do, and works the same position like me. The only thing that was different was the color of her skin. She wasn't of Asian descent like I was. In fact, she was brown skin. She was African American. While my partner and I were getting my patient prepped to be transferred into her new room, the patient was explaining to my partner how she preferred a person who was white to provide care for her. Social inequality is the existence of unequal opportunities and awards for different social positions or statuses within a group or society. This was an example of social inequality because it was unequal treatment between my partner and I. We couldn't do our job because our patient did not treat us the same as those who are white. Although the color of our skin has nothing to do with the quality of healthcare service that we can provide. Another social inequality that my partner and I experienced was discrimination and prejudice. Discrimination is differential treatment against minorities, and prejudice are the attitudes and prejudgment about a group of people that are not based on facts. Our patient treated us differently than, say, a worker who was white. Although she was attempting to be nice about it, she assumed that because we are people of color, that we cannot give her the same care that someone who is white can. This can also be considered racial color blindness as well, because she was disregarding her racism when selecting what color skin she wanted to give for the care that she needed. Normalizing inequality are processes through which ideas and actions of a dominant group come to be seen as acceptable and therefore become taken for granted or natural by large portions of society. This was an example of normalizing inequality because in a hospital setting, I know that many people think that those who are in the older generation are still thought to have the mindset of segregation historically, and that it's okay because many people say that their mindsets cannot be unchanged. This is majorly affected by segregation historically. Segregation is the act of setting someone or a group of people apart from other people. In history, racial segregation was a system from the efforts of white Americans, keeping those of color in a subordinate status, denying them the same equal rights and opportunities. This attitude and behavior, I believe, has carried on to my patient's actions and choices that she made towards my partner and I. She preferred someone who was white because in her mind they provided better care than people of color, but this is also connected to racial inequality and racism. Racial inequalities are different social advantages and disparities that are affecting different races, while racism are beliefs about the superiority of a racial or ethnic group over others. Both of these are justified through white privilege and bigotry. Bigotry is the intolerance of any opinions that differ from their own. Agency is the freedom and ability to make choices for myself in any given situation, while structure is understood through the many norms, behaviors, and rules that I am expected to follow in day-to-day interactions. During my situation, I had the freedom to speak up about unequal treatment and opportunities that I experienced. However, I was socialized to respect those who are older than me, and I was taught to respect my patients. What I would do differently would be to definitely talk to the nurses and leader of the floor so that they are aware that this still does occur and how others should respond to it if they encounter someone being put in that kind of situation. I would definitely also talk to the other volunteers as well because many of them are people of color. I would want to remind them that we as workers should act professional when dealing with racism, but we should also stand up for ourselves in order to stop this from further happening. We can do so by allowing the patient to know that we all receive the same training and education prior to working and that we provide the same top quality care as our coworkers do as well.